Okay, before we get started, I did a tutorial a while back on making my freehand mylar shields, and recently I've been asked by a couple of people about what software I use for my detailed vinyl masking that you've seen me use in several videos. So it's a vector graphics package called Inkscape, which is more or less an open source alternative to Adobe Illustrator. In addition, I use GIMP to create a silhouette, but that part can be done in any graphic software, Photoshop or Krita or whatever you're used to. So, that being said, let's get into it. Okay, so you have a picture on your computer and you want to get it onto your painting surface. Well, there's a lot of ways you can do that, but we're going to take it a step further and we're going to make a peel out vinyl stencil so that you can peel out each piece individually. I've opened this up in GIMP. You could use any graphic software, but GIMP works very good. Now, we're going to take our magic wand tool and we're going to select the outside and then hold down the shift and click in these other white areas that are inside. Okay. So now that should be, wait, there's one more in between these two roses. Okay. Now we have all the white selected, and we're going to go to select, invert. So now all of the rose is selected, everything else is not. So now we go to our paintbrush and we create a silhouette. We save this as a separate file. Go to File and Export As. You could overwrite, and that would overwrite the original picture, but you need the original picture, so you gotta Export As. And then just give it a new name. And that's all we need from the GIMP. Okay, so now we're going to open Inkscape. Now, when you first open it, you'll have this. You may have the white. I think it follows the theme of your computer when you install it. But you can change it here. And then if you do, you'll hit save. Then you go to time to draw. You won't have anything here because you don't have any projects yet, unless you already use Inkscape, then you know how that works. So we're going to click New Document. Okay, now if this is your first time using it, you will likely not have any thing open in the panel here, so you'll have it'll look like this. If you have a panel, fine, but if you don't, you're going to want to come up to Object and go Layers and Objects. That's going to open that panel for you. Okay. So then we're going to come over here and we're going to import. We're going to find our flowers. We're going to import that. Okay. Drag it onto our work area. We'll put it down here for now because we're also going to import our silhouette. Same thing, okay. Drag it over here. Now, this is a bitmap image, so we need to vectorize it. And the reason we have a silhouette is because, I mean, we could do this with this picture, right? If we wanted to trace the bitmap, but it's going to have all these lines, and the lines are going to be double lines, and it's not going to be what the plotter wants to cut a clean stencil. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, and now we can do all these outlines ourselves, but we want that outline, the silhouette, to be exactly the same, so that when we cut our stencil, we can cut one with all the details, so we can have all these pieces, but we also will be able to cut a second one that is the entire silhouette, so that we can cover it back up in one piece to do our background instead of having to do a background first. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here with that selected. We're going to go Object, we're going to go Path, Trace Bitmap. Then we'll come down here and we're going to hit Apply. Now that we've done that, we can close this tab because we don't need it. You'll notice now we have our two images and we have a path. Okay, so this is our main design, and this is the silhouette picture. Okay, we can delete the silhouette picture. We don't need it anymore. Now this is our path. So we select this, and when we switch over to here, you can see that there are nodes. Okay, so what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to select these nodes down here, and we're going to hit this minus up here to cut them out. We don't need those. Now over here we're going to add another tab, which is the fill and stroke. Okay, so we want to get rid of this fill. The way we do that is with the fill tab, because you notice the fill and stroke tab has 3 sub-tabs of its own. So we're on the fill tab. I'm going to click the X for none. Okay, so now we have no fill. Now stroke paint, we're going to click flat color, which just means a solid color. We have to select it. Okay. Now stroke paint, we're going to want a solid black, and stroke style, we're going to change this to pixels. Hit the minus button down to 0, and then tap it up to I like to work at half a pixel. That changes how it looks as you zoom in and out. So there's our silhouette. Now, coming back to layers, we can zoom in and out, right? With our scroll wheel down here. But what we want to do is we want to drag this. We want to drag these two together. And it doesn't matter which one you grab, but just move them till they're lined up. Okay. Does it have to be perfect? Not really. But you get them where you're comfortable. There we go, that's pretty good. Okay. Now that we have those two lined up, we don't want to move the background image. So we're going to select that over here and hit the lock. That locks it in place. Now, this is the visibility, and this will give you your blend modes and your opacity. So you can knock this opacity down, which makes it easier to see your actual outline that you're working with. Okay? So, back on the path. Now, if you want, you can add a layer. You can move your path onto that layer. Okay, so now the path is on layer 2, and the image is on its own layer. So we can lock that entire layer. And now we move over to this side panel. These are your tools, your toolbox. Okay, that's your selector tool. That is how you select something and move it around. Right. We're gonna hit over here on the side. This is your undo. Hit that, because I don't want to have to line it up again. Now, what we want to do is we want to manipulate these nodes, and that's the second tool here, the node tool. Right? When I have it on the node tool, you can see all your nodes. Now, you could adjust this any way you want. You can let's say you want to put more detail into this leaf, right? You can grab this node, and that each node has, zoom in a little more for you. Each node has two little arms, right? See, you can take that arm and you can move it around, right? Same with this one. You could affect curves and all kinds of. So if you wanted to put sharper points, manipulate this any way you want. So you see you can add all kinds of detail. Which we're not doing. Okay. For the sake of this, for the sake of time. Now, if you, sometimes you'll do something that's really complex, and it'll have a lot more nodes, right? Now you could take something if you want to build the structure more yourself. You can go to path and you can simplify, right? Which means, boom, you can knock down the amount of nodes. And of course that knocks down the amount of detail that you have. But you can add it back in yourself, which also we're not going to do. Okay. So now you want to get your petals in, right? So the way you do that is you come down here to the pen tool. It looks like a little calligraphy pen. All right. So the pen tool is your friend. That's what you want to do. Okay. So we're going to start right here. And we're going to click it, and we're going to come over here. We're going to click it, and we're going to drag along the lines while holding the key down. Okay? Then we're going to click it again right here. And then right click. Okay? So here we have a new path. And and that we can manipulate any way we want. It's got 2 nodes. We can have 3 nodes in total. But what we want to do is we want this node to be a corner, right? That way we can okay, so that way our lines meet up, but the silhouette is still a separate piece. So, and this one, now we could attach these. We can group these together and join these nodes into the outline. And, but we don't want to do that because we need this silhouette to stay separate. So we just need to line stuff up. So that when the cutter comes through, it'll cut it. Right, and then you can zoom in as far as you have to go to get go back to the pen tool to get the result you want. But you can, if you put more nodes, it's easier to manipulate how it curves. And just start laying your lines out. Make sure you drag a little bit every time you click a node. That way it'll pull the little control arms out for your Bezier curves. I see this line you don't have to put in because you don't need it. So you just lay them out. Don't worry about them being perfect. You're going to come back and edit them all. Put all the little ends in place so everything meets up the way it's supposed to. So that way the cutter can come and get it all and not miss anything. Alright, we're going to skip ahead. Okay, so I basically laid the lines out for this first rows, but you can see that when you zoom in, not everything lines up perfectly. I just laid them in quick. This is where you want to go through and you want to zoom in and you want to make sure all your lines intersect so that each petal of the rose is going to peel out in its own separate piece. Any other adjustments you need to make, you could do in the process so that, like, if something, a petal is part of the outline, but you need it to be part of the petal, you need to line up your lines where everything looks like it flows properly. And we're keeping it kind of simple, but once you learn these node tools, there's no limit to the detail you can bring into your piece. You can bring much tighter detail than the plotter will even cut. So, yeah. So just, push and pull and turn and twist, whatever you got to do to give this finished product the look you want. And remember, perfection is not what you're after, because you're going to achieve all that with your airbrush. So I'm not crazy about the way this leaf goes in front of the stem, so I'm gonna change that a little bit. Okay. So now what we're going to do is this is going to have to get blown up to the size we want. So let's see where we're at now. Okay, we're going to switch this to inches. Okay. Now, we see we're at 6 inches wide. We're going to want it probably about 10 inches. So, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure our document properties, and this we should have probably set up in the beginning, but we're going to do it now, is in inches, and that's not going to cut it, of course. So let's just pump the project up. Now it doesn't really matter, it just overlaps the paper, but it's nicer to work with if it looks right. So we're going to go with, let's say, go with 12 inches by let's go 20. Okay. And make sure our display units are also in inches. Okay. So now when we have everything selected, so when we increase the size, make sure we have this little padlock highlighted, because if it's not locked, then it's going to change just one proportion at a time, and we want it to stay in proportion. So we're going to go from 3 inches to 10 inches. So 10 inches, zoom out, make sure that it's lined up. We're going to go low on the paper because we want room. And now what we're going to do is we're going to grab just the outline. We're going to come over here, hit copy, and then come to the little clipboard and hit paste. Now we have an outline. I'm going to put that up here. I want to keep these two separated. So let's select everything again. Now come up to Object and Group. Now we have two separate objects. Click this, the outline that highlights. Click anywhere down here and the whole thing highlights. So now we can move it around as one. Give it some separation. Now we want that width to match on the project. So we're going to go up here and we're going to go Align and Distribute. Now, if we select both, if you hold down your shift, you can for some reason my keyboard has not been registering well. This wireless keyboard. Okay, so we have both selected. We come over here and we're going to go center on vertical axis. That means they're lined up right to left perfectly with each other. And that's all there is to it. Now we come up here and we're going to save as desktop and save it as Roses. I already had one saved, but I'm going to save it as Roses SVG. Save. Replace, yes. Okay, so now I have an SVG file. And that's completely ready for the cutter. So open Sign Master, which is my cutting software. Yours may vary. And new document. Now we're going to go file. Let's see. Let's set our document size to 12 by 20. Okay, well that doesn't look right because I do not, come on. The one did not register. Like I said, my keyboard has been weird. So that way we know our image will fit. We're going to go to File, Import. And we find Roses SVG. Open. Center it on our area here, and boom. Now, this outline is showing thin. That's fine. The way there's the same path. So now you're ready to send it to your cutter. Boom. Cut now. Make sure for the size of your plotter it fits in your area. Mine is a 28-inch, so this one's a 24. And proceed with cut. Yes. Boom. And now it's cutting. So that's all there is to it, and you'll have a stencil that you'll be able to transfer onto your paint surface, and there you go. Thanks for watching.